If you're a trader, you have absolutely seen this line on a chart. But what if I told you that for most people, it's just a bunch of noise, while for the institutional giants, it's their entire playbook? Well, today, we're going to decode VWAP and reveal the institutional roadmap that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
So let's just start with a really direct question. Are you using this indicator correctly? Because honestly, for most retail traders, seeing VWAP as just another support and resistance line means they're missing about 90% of the real story.
And this right here is the core mindset shift we need to make today. Stop seeing VWAP as just another technical indicator and start seeing it for what it truly is, the institutional roadmap. You know, every single time the price touches that line, you're not just watching a chart, you're watching a battle between billion-dollar funds play out in real time. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the why, then we'll get into the basic setups, and then we're going to level up to some serious pro-level tactics, and we'll finish with what is probably the most crucial element of all, your mindset. So let's get right into it. First things first. To use this map, we really need to understand why it's so incredibly different from pretty much every other indicator out there. It's so much more than just a simple average, and that difference, well, that's precisely where our edge comes from. So VWAP, it stands for Volume Weighted Average Price. Now the key word here, the only word that really matters is volume. See, it doesn't just average out the price, it tells you the average price where the real money actually changed hands. It reflects the true fair price of a stock by factoring in the conviction, the weight of buyers and sellers.
Let's put this up against a standard simple moving average, an SMA. An SMA is basically blind. It can only see price. VWAP, on the other hand, sees everything. It sees volume. And this is so critical. An SMA shows you the average price, sure, but VWAP shows you the average price where the most money was actually committed. And because it resets every single day, it becomes this incredibly powerful benchmark for intraday trading.
So why is this such a big deal? It's because the large institutions, I'm talking hedge funds, pension funds, they can't just click buy on 1 million shares of a stock. If they did that, they'd spike the price and ruin their own entry. Instead, their fancy algorithms are programmed to buy or sell as close to the VWAP as possible to minimize their impact on the market. And this creates this predictable, almost gravitational pull on the price that we, as retail traders, can learn to anticipate and trade around. All right, enough theory. Let's get this thing on your charts right now. It's time to see how this actually works in the real world, where it counts. Now, setting this up is super simple. On pretty much any trading platform, just open your indicators list and search for volume weighted average price. Go ahead and add it, and you're almost done. The last thing we want to do is add the standard deviation bands, and trust me, I'll show you why those are your secret weapon in just a moment. Now that we've got the tool, let's learn the two fundamental plays. Look, markets are either trending or they're ranging, and there's a specific VWAP setup for each one of those conditions. Mastering these two is literally the foundation for everything that's going to follow. First up, we have the rotation setup. This is your go-to playbook for when the market is just chopping sideways with no clear direction. You need to think of VWAP as a powerful magnet in these conditions. The price might get stretched away from it, but it always wants to snap right back to the mean. So here's how you trade it. When you see those standard deviation bands get flat and horizontal, you know the market is balanced. The playbook here is dead simple. You sell at the upper band and you buy at the lower band. And your target? That center VWAP line, because that's where the price is most likely to revert back to. But you know, markets don't stay calm forever. When a clear trend finally emerges, we switch over to our second play, the trend setup. The goal here is simple. We want to join the institutional flow, not try to fight it. When the market is really trending, the VWAP bands are going to slope up or down with it. So now, instead of fading the edges, we use them as a discount aisle. In a strong uptrend, we wait patiently for the price to pull back to that VWAP line, which is now acting as dynamic support, and that's our signal to buy, to get in on the trend at a better price, right alongside the big institutions. Okay, you've got the basics. You understand the two core plays. Now, let's level up. We're moving from the standard plays to the advanced tactics that really separate the pros from the amateurs. This is where we learn to read the entire institutional story. So our first pro-level tactic is what's called the VWAP stack. What we're going to do is layer the daily, the weekly, and the monthly VWAPs all on our chart at the same time. And the reason for this is incredibly powerful. It shows us if all the institutions, from the short-term day traders to the long-term funds, are all on the same page.
And this is exactly how you read institutional consensus. When the daily VWAP is above the weekly, which is above the monthly, and the price is above all three of them, that, my friends, is perfect alignment. It means every single level of smart money is bullish. These are the conditions that fuel the most explosive and durable trends you will ever see.
But here's a question that trips up most traders. The standard VWAP, it resets every single day at the market open. But do you really think these big institutions care about the clock on the wall? No, they care about significant events. So what if the session open isn't the most important anchor point?
And this brings us to one of my favorite tools, the anchored VWAP. This lets us start the VWAP calculation from any point on the chart we choose. We can anchor it to a major earnings report, a Fed announcement, or a key market top or bottom. This reveals where institutions really started their positions around a pivotal event, giving us support and resistance levels that are just far more relevant than the simple market open. But listen, having the absolute best strategy in the world is completely useless if you don't have discipline and risk management. This final piece of the puzzle is what separates a truly professional approach from a purely technical one.
Now let's talk about actually pulling the trigger. A really logical place for your stop loss is just beyond the next standard deviation band, because a break of that level signals your trade idea is probably invalidated. And notice the price is way above the monthly VWAP? That's a sign you should probably consider a smaller position size since you're buying at a premium. And maybe most importantly, never, ever enter a trade just because price hits a line on a chart. You have to wait for confirmation.
A simple checklist like this can be an absolute game changer. I want you to think of it like a conversation. So price asks a question when it hits the VWAP. The candlestick provides the answer. Is it a rejection with a long wick, or is it acceptance with a strong close? And then volume. Volume is the exclamation point, telling you if the big players are actually backing that move up. Only when all three of those elements agree do you have a high probability setup that's actually worth risking your capital on.
And there you have it. You've gone from seeing a simple line on a chart to being able to read a dynamic map of institutional behavior. You see, this isn't just another indicator. It's the actual framework that professionals use to analyze the market every single day.
So the real question is, now that you have the institutional playbook, how are you going to use this roadmap in your trading? Let me know down in the comments if this has changed your perspective on VWAP. I'll see you next time.